As soon as they arrive safely, it's full steam ahead. The team is on the ice at mile 1 the next day. Except those passengers who'd been assembling in the arena by flight number, a lot of them are still there, still waiting. And, watching them practice.
A lot of these people from around the world, a lot of them probably never seen a hockey rink, a hockey game, a hockey player, and then there's the Toronto Maple Leafs on the ice, getting ready for the season, getting ready for the blue and white game, and then they would make an announcement like, attention everyone on this flight, the buses are now boarding, your flight is now departing for the destination they were meant to go.
You close your eyes and you think you're at, in the departures area of the St. John's International Airport.
And then what was interesting was that the players would stop practice and slam their sticks on the ice to show their appreciation for the people that were there watching them, and the people were then, after spending 2 or 3 days in St. John's, were able to move on. And that happened 3 or 4 times during practice for sure.
And I remember after the practice was over,
More than a few, if we come from a ways, are gonna need to get screeched in. Now, in case you've never heard the term, here's Brendan McCarthy to break it down.
It's a ceremony whereby you're made an honorary Newfoundlander. You have to kiss a cod. There are some people that will say that you have to kiss what is called a slobby cod, which means it's not a fresh cod. You have to kiss the cod on the lips. You have to take a shot of rum and to eat a piece of bologna, but it has to be traditionally a piece of Fausti bologna. So it's best before date is expired. And then the other thing would be you have to recite this, and it's a nautical term. Long may your big jib draw, which means may the winds be behind you. Do you dare to become Newfoundlander? Will you put up? And then in some ways, if you look back at it, I guess is one way of saying, it's not easy living in Newfoundland. It's not easy. You've got to put up with a lot of it. So if you can do this and put up with it, maybe, you're worth staying here. So I'll put it that way.
Playlist and all of the official Toronto Maple Leafs playlists exclusively on Apple Music or the Leafs app. To Swedish hockey players, Börje Salming is a trailblazer, the guy who made their careers in the NHL even a possibility. A few weeks ago, I popped down to the Leafs locker room to talk with Rasmus Sandin, the Swedish teammate now with the Marlies, about Salming's influence.
Well, I just know he always came as all. He was a tough guy. He was battling the whole time. One of the best first team. And then I got to meet up with him for lunch last summer, so that was really cool. The greatest guy ever. So.
The story of Börje Salming is well known, but for those who weren't there, who didn't live it, or as a central figure, well, our conception of it, it's all kind of surfaces, right? Those who didn't live through the man's arrival in Toronto, didn't see him play in person, well, were incapable of comparing what the NHL was like before and then after him. We don't really get what made Salming and his discovery so important. So for that reason, our producer, Paul Matthews, went out into the field to bring the story back to life for us. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. I want to talk more about Börje Salming, the man. We're lucky enough that we work with all of the Toronto Maple Leaf alumni, and I gotta be honest, 99.9.
You see, in 1967, the league expands from 6 teams to 12. In 1970, it adds 2 more. Then in 72, 2 more. Expansion dilutes the talent base. There's now more demand and more competition for a very, very small pool of players. That means the pool, by necessity, needed to get bigger. In 1969, when Jim Gregory becomes the GM of the Leafs, one of the first things he sets out to do is build out his scouting roster. To Gregory, it was clear. Toronto needed to go from having arguably the best feeder program to having the best scouting program. Then, in the summer of 1972, Gregory gets a ridiculous stroke of luck. His head coach, John McClellan, and his head scout, Bob Davidson, get chosen by Hockey Canada to be the only 2 scouts who get to go and watch the Soviets prepare for the Summit Series. Now, for those who don't know, the Summit Series is a defining moment in the history of hockey. It's drawn shut. No scouts are going to be going into the Soviet Union. So, the next best thing? How about that team that Canada played against to train before going to Moscow? That's right.
So just go back to when you get off the plane in Stockholm, when you're just walking around the city, did it feel like a North American city? What were your first impressions, especially as someone who'd never been to Europe before? What were your first impressions just of it as a place?
Old, streets are narrower, the buildings are drab, but the people were nice, really nice. every along the way, if I asked them anything, how do you get here, how do you get there, they'd explain it to you. And I enjoyed every minute of it while I was there.
Jerry's mission, if he chose to accept it, was to go check out a goalie named Kurt Larson.
Jimmy wanted me to go and look at him and see what I thought. I just thought that our goaltending, he wasn't improving.